The Iron Bowl is this Saturday. Anyone paying attention here? Bama welcoming in Auburn Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 local time. ABC has the game. You know, Alabama versus Georgia really happened. Alabama versus LSU really happened. That's the good news. The bad news is Alabama versus Vandy happened. Alabama versus Tennessee happened. Alabama versus Oklahoma happened. Bipolar Bama, BPB. Which one do we get? I would almost say it's not a waste of time to try and predict these games because you want to be one step ahead. Like you want to see around the corner. That's what we're trying to do here. But man, once these games kick off, I've got my pick just like everyone else, but I kind of sit there and just go, oh, here we go. Alrighty, someone's going to be really right or really wrong. Auburn's best game was always there, by the way. Last week, they beat Texas A&M. They did not finish minus turnovers. Peyton Thorne over 300 yards. Jarquez Hunter went off. Cam Coleman went off. Keandre Lambert-Smith went off. Everything that we've known was there offensively showed up, and they didn't shoot themselves in the foot. And what'd they do? They got a win over a highly ranked opponent at home. They could do it again. Tuscaloosa hadn't been easy on them, but you know what? Nick Saban wasn't easy on anyone. He's not there anymore. This Alabama team hasn't looked vintage this year, so what better time to go in there and get your first win in a long time in Tuscaloosa? Auburn's offense last week, that's what it should have been for a long time. So can they package that up and take it on the road again? Does the run game do what Oklahoma did to Alabama? I don't know necessarily that Peyton Thorne has been a focal point of that run game this year. They should run Peyton Thorne a fair amount in this game. Jarquez Hunter, of course, is going to run the ball a fair amount. I think he had 28 carries last week. I bet he's 24, 25-plus carries this week. I think Peyton Thorne ought to run the ball a fair amount. Until Bama shows they can stop that stuff, you do it. If you've got any kind of athleticism at quarterback, and Thorne is plenty good enough, he's got, how many did we count? He's got 14 games of double-digit rushing attempts. He's not a statue by any stretch of the imagination back there. I think that'll be what they make Bama show they can stop. And if Bama doesn't, the game will last about 2.5 hours, and you'll get out of there by 3 and get home in time for a late lunch. Number 2, it becomes academic at that point. Because, I mean, Alabama's got to get to Thorne early because this is a turnover-prone Auburn team with a ton of confidence now. And sometimes that's not a good combo to take on the road. But if they don't have to throw the ball a lot, then that doesn't really matter. So the first part here, and you're down a couple of big players at linebacker if you're Alabama, is you got to get after him. But to do that, you got to earn the right to rush the passer. And to earn the right to rush the passer, you got to stop the run on early downs and create 3rd and 6 pluses. Ton of variance in this game because of that. If Bama's able to do that, there's a world where Bama could get to the quarterback, force turnovers, and they win going away. However, if they don't, and if Auburn's able to standardize this game offensively, there's a world where Auburn just wins it outright. And I know you listen to that and you say, well, that's easy to say. Anyone could say that. I know. It's a very hard game to predict. This one's a very hard game to predict. Marcel Reed last week, the Texas A&M quarterback, 297 through the air, 66 on the ground. So what does Jalen Milroe do against Auburn? Where's his head at this week? What version of Jalen Milroe do we get this week? Because Auburn's got a pretty good run defense. It's a big day for the Alabama wide receiver room. They did him very few favors last week. There's a fair amount of blame to go around everywhere, staff and players, for the way Alabama played last week. But upon second review, it's not all Jalen Milroe. A lot of people up there have said as much, including some of the wide receivers responsible for that. So that's in the past. The future is the Iron Bowl. You barely escaped last year with a 4th and a mile. How do you fare this year? Alabama's an 8-win team if they lose this. 8-4 for Bama? Anyone feeling that? Auburn has to have this game for bowl eligibility. So let's take a look at what the model thinks. FanDuel right now has got Bama minus 11.5. We're pretty much in line with that. We got Bama minus 12. Like I said, there's a world where Bama clicks here, where they respond like they should at home, and Auburn's a little bit too loose, and they turn the ball over, and Alabama wins by 24. Sure, there's a world where that happens. I can't count on that. And so I cannot count on Alabama getting significant margin. And because I can't count on that, I think they're going to win the game. I think Alabama's going to win the game. But I've got no confidence laying double-digit points here. There are too many elements Auburn could bring here. I mean, Auburn could get after Milroe and make them one-dimensional and run the ball on them and just win the game outright. So I'm taking Auburn in the points. Alabama, they're the better team. They're the home team. They should win. But winning and covering, I don't know, man. I don't have enough confidence to lay those. I'm not betting the game either way, but I don't have that confidence.